today is a sad day because I have to get some wiring done. What I'm looking at right here is the wiring that sits above the ceiling light and the ceiling rose of the downstairs bathroom. There are three cables here. One is the mains or power supply, one continues to loop to other rooms, and one that goes back to the light switch. A big undertaking like rewiring a bathroom wouldn't be complete without a bit of mission creep, of course. And having the floorboards up and out gave me the opportunity to do something about the light switch of the downstairs bathroom that's been annoying me pretty much ever since we moved in here. The downstairs bathroom has its door handle here, so the door opens this way and the light switch is sitting outside on this side of the wall. That is completely counterintuitive. And the reason why is that the wire that is running from the light to the light switch downstairs is disappearing right there between that bit of masonry and the plasterboard that's sitting in front of it. Whereas it would be better if it were running down here, where also the waste pipe and the water pipes continue to the sink downstairs. So I should be able to disconnect the light switch downstairs, get the cable free, and then just pull it up here and then drop it down there. I think that's a worthwhile sideshow, because then for the time being, until I have the time to refurb this bathroom here, I could put the light switch right there or maybe here, so that as you open the door and enter, it's on the same side as the door handle. Just get these two screws out. Pull the breaker, but I'm just going to make sure that there is no... Yeah, it stays dark, so that's all good. I'm fully committed now, there's no turning back. Well, there probably is, but this is just more dramatic. Hello, beautiful. Well, that worked rather easily. I have my wire here, and I'm just going to feed that into that little contraption that hides the pipes downstairs. Oh no, you don't. Just feed it down there. And this light switch here has been sitting at 135 centimeters from the floor, so I'm going to keep the same height here. 135, just there. I'll use the spirit level to make a straight level line. And then get the back box to just trace the outlines and make a hole that's big enough. Alright, now I'm going to use a multi-tool to get the hole in there, and I have to restrain myself not to push it in too hard and all the way into the waste pipe. Come on. And there's my wire. I'm feeding the wire back into that space there, because because I only really need a tiny bit sticking out. And common and one way. So those are the two that I need. And it shouldn't matter which of these two ground wires goes where, because as long as the circuit is closed, that light should turn on regardless. Wire number 2. Make 3 lights out of 1 light. I have to make myself a diagram first. And the reason I need a diagram is because of that rather diabolical invention up there called a ceiling rose. And the way this works is the reason why there's 2 neutral, 2 live here is because that strand gets interrupted here, so it feeds in on one set of wire and then continues on with the next, and this terminal here is what makes the connection. And then this wire that's also connected to the live feed, this is going into that strand here and then running down there, where if this switch is flicked, makes the connection and then goes back up here into this terminal, which is where the live wire for the actual light then connected and turned the light on. And that's why I need a diagram. 1 connection which I need to turn into 3. This is easiest done by taking the loop, splitting in the first layer, that's just for keeping the loop together, and then is taking a branch from those. That's the second layer. The second layer is keeping my connection with the loop, and then the main ceiling light can be branched off of that, as well as a third layer. That's then the 2 additional lights I want to put on into the walls. Now this is of course very simplified. The way I'm going to have to wire the lights and the switches is here. So I think that is this connection here, that layer that will come out where the lights are, and then I'll need 4 sort of connection terminals. 1 to just keep the neutral connected, or connect the light to the neutral. The earth doesn't need to be connected to the light at all, that will just run down to the switch. Then there's the live, and that's like the actual live is not going to be connected to the light. Instead, that's going to be routed to the switch. And then once this connection here is closed, I'm going to use the blue cable. That's why I have the blue here. This is then providing the live feed for the light, and that should then close the circuit and connect the light up. So there's a whole lot of these little buddies here that I'm going to be using. They're pretty easy to use, which is why I bought them. They're being described as a bit pricey, but to be honest, I think it's well worth the spending. And this is how you make or how you splice 1 existing connection off into 2 more, and then so on and so forth. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do in the bathroom now. So that's the first layer done. Loops closed for neutral, live and earth. The switch cables are still connected. I'll leave those wires in. To put in the second layer, I'm only going to put in a very short length of wire. This should do. And this is regular 1.5 square millimeters cable for lighting. The other type of cable that I have is 2.5, and that's for power sockets. Now to cut the wire, I'm using one of these tools here. It's worked okay for me so far. There's two blades here. I don't know if that shows up. Just close around the cable like that. Twist a little bit. Bend the cable to expose the individual wires. Pretty straightforward. In order to expose the wires a little bit, I'm going to use these little teeth there. It's a little long. Let's keep this nice and short. There we go. And I'm realizing that I'll have to push all of this up above the ceiling into the attic, because otherwise I'll have the entire cable loom down here where I can't hide it. In order for that to get up into the attic, I have to go into the attic. In the meantime, I've pushed the cables up there. I've drilled a hole through the stud work there. And another one up here. And I've also already fed up some wire into the attic. My spool or my roll is there. I should be able to grab that one and connect it to my wiring loom. And then I have to come back down here to the other side, etc, etc. And I have to find my mask. So, I'm in the attic. It is unbelievably hot. It is really difficult to breathe. And the wires should be somewhere under this wall. Why did I have to do this in the height of summer? I finally found the bit of timber that the light screws into. And this is where all the wires are. So finally found it. Best get your wiring. There we go. First layer, second layer. And this is where now the central ceiling light is going to be going from. And then the third layer for my two wall lights. And now all three layers are in place. First layer there, second here, third there. And I'm going to be connecting the wires for the actual lights. And there's my third layer connecting to the second and to the two wall lights. So now I have to hop back downstairs, turn on the breaker, and then see if I have the electricity where I want to have it. And then that's the proof of concept working.
And of course I'm going to have everything checked by an electrician to make sure it's all in compliance with regulations.
I quickly wired in a new ceiling light. Let's check if this works. Yep, there we go. That's successful. Let's see if the other wires are still alive. So yeah, red light comes on, that's live. And so is this one. Perfect. This light switch here is going to move inside the bathroom, but not just now, because there's no wall in there for the time being. So that switch will just be dangling about, which I'm not too keen on. So I'll leave the back box in here. Just swap out the actual switch, and then once I've put the wall in and maybe some framing on the other side, I'll swap the back box around and make it face inside. Okay, so these are the two wires that already connect to the ceiling light. So I'm going to get me my switch. Quick test. In the meantime, I'll put the breaker back in. And the light comes on, so that works. Now this is the fun bit. connecting the wire or connecting the power supply for the light to the wire that's going to the switch. So coming out over there. So that's the power, that's the live wire coming from the main supply, and this is the live wire that's going to go to the switch. And this is where my switch live is gonna come from. This is what's ultimately going to supply the power to the light. And just to make sure that I know, because of course that wire is blue, which usually means neutral, I'm gonna mark this off with some electric tape to tell me that this is actually my switch live little property here. There we go. Right. Now, let's also connect up the earth, because there's an earth terminal in the switch. And I can connect all this too. So ultimately, the only connections that I need to wire the light in, because any commercial light only comes with two wires, brown and the blue, so live and neutral. So the brown that the light has is going to connect to this one, the switch live, and the neutral to the neutral to close the circuit, and that should be that. Alright then. So my live, in this case, goes into the slot that is labeled COM, and the one that is ultimately going to supply power back to the light is in a slot that says one way. Let's put the breaker back in and see if, when I have this switch flicked, there's power coming out of my switch live. This light should come on if there is power here, and indeed it does. Good, 2 down, 1 to go. So for the third switch, drilled myself a hole here and another hole there, and I've already routed a cable through it, giving myself plenty of slack here and there for adjustments. And the reason why I'm routing this through the floor rather than the attic is because I just don't want to go back up into the attic. And because what I'm doing here right now are steps I've already shown, I'm just fast forwarding through them to get to the proof. And the light comes on. Success. And finally, the last part of the wiring phase of this project is to run a cable from where I want the power socket to sit in the bathroom to where the power socket just outside the bathroom currently sits, and connect the wires using my trusty Wago clips. On the opposite side, I've secured the wire ends with Wago clips as well. Once the socket is ready to go in, the clips can be disconnected and reused. This really marked the end of all the rewiring that needed to be done in this bathroom, and with that, my rather amateurish wiring diagram could finally be taken off the wall while I moved on to other parts of the project.